Hey, my name is Brett Linkletter, CEO and co-founder of Dineline, a restaurant growth agency. We help restaurant brands of all sizes grow and scale to new heights, whether that means opening new stores or increasing revenue at an existing location. We have a done-for-you model where we take care of all the work for our clients on the marketing front, and we also have a unique software solution called Dishio, which allows owners to showcase their restaurants in the best light possible online, while also turning guest interactions into data to increase profits. Right now, you're listening to our podcast, Restaurant Misfits, where we'll discuss all things related to restaurant marketing, management, and everything else in between growing a restaurant business. Scaling a restaurant today takes much more than having grit and hustle. In this age, it's about utilizing the newest technology, educating yourself on new platforms and trends, and having a deep understanding of how the industry is changing. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you up to speed with the latest and greatest through interviewing the biggest and the best in the restaurant industry. As always, we appreciate you for being here, and we hope you enjoy the show. Cheers. Adrianne Calvo, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to chat with you because you have such an interesting background, like everything you've done. For everyone that's just listening and tuning in today, if you could just give them a quick background about yourself on kind of how you got in the restaurant space, that would be incredible, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Okay. Well, I'm Adrianne Calvo. I've had a restaurant down here in South Florida for 17 years now. Mm-hmm. Originally, I wanted to be a journalist, and I got a scheduling mistake in high school, and they put me in a cooking class instead of a journalism class.
No way.
16 years old, all I wanted to do was cook from that day on. Fast forward, I competed in order to raise money for college, culinary competitions and whatnot. I kept winning these competitions, and one of my coaches, my culinary coaches, said, put all of these recipes, these winning recipes, into a book and write a cookbook. Back in the day, Montel Williams was doing his very last show before retiring, and he's one of those. He was like Oprah Winfrey's like competition on daytime talk shows, and he holds my cookbook in the air. I was the youngest cookbook author in America at the time.
How old were you?
It was like 19 or 20, I think. 19 when I wrote the book.
My God.
20 when he holds it up in the air. And goes, everybody's got to buy this book. So this is like circa 2005, I think, or 2006. And back then, people still bought cookbooks because they saw them on talk shows. So I sell an insane amount of cookbooks. So at 22,
how many?
I don't know. I lost track because it was just one of those things that I was like, how is this even possible? It was money that I had no idea that I would ever get. So I saved the money and I said, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket, and I'm going to open my very first restaurant with no restaurant experience whatsoever.
Yep.
I'm basically a kid out of college, no business experience, none of that. And I opened my very first restaurant at 22 years old.
Oh my God.
17 years later, we're here.
Oh, that is so cool.
And since then, we've been voted best restaurant in Miami. I've won best chef numerous times. We're voted 250 best businesses in America for the jobs that we've created. We're 17 most influential restaurants in all of America, according to Thrillist. And we've won Wine Spectator's Award of Excellence twice.
Oh my God. God, that is so amazing.
Thank you.
That may be one of like the best intros I think I've ever done too.
Oh,
I've ever listened to ever.
Well, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, no, 100%. God, that is so cool. I mean, well, it's and it started with a mistake.
Yeah. It started with a mistake, which is not a mistake. I think it was, God telling me you're doing this.
God willing, this is going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Divine intervention coming in here.
Yeah, because that's not what I wanted to do.
So you were going to be a journalist.
Yeah.
You accidentally got into the cooking class, and you obviously loved it.
I loved it.
And you brought your skill sets of journalism to cooking.
I did. I wanted to tell stories.
God.
Think about it. When you think about food, whether you're sharing recipes or whether you're just looking at the ambiance that's created at these restaurants, they're all telling stories,
Totally.
So I thought this is kind of like merging the two worlds.
That is the coolest thing ever. But it sounds like you didn't just start that way. You've continued doing that. I saw that you have at this point like 5 cookbooks. Is that correct? 6.
I'm working on my 7th one right now.
Oh my God. Okay. And that is so cool.
Thank you.
And well, tell me, and what do you think
what makes your cookbook special from any others? What makes yours so successful?
Well, I don't necessarily think my cookbooks are special. I think that just like you go and watch, let's say, a movie, or you buy anything that has its own story, you might be attracted to my story, you might be attracted to another chef's story, or multiple. So I think when you buy one of my cookbooks, you're buying into my story, the things I've created, the flavor profile that you've accustomed to, or maybe you're just curious about it.
Yeah. God, I need to get my girlfriend one of your cookbooks because
I should have brought one.
she's amazing, but she could use a little help when it comes to cooking sometimes.
Oh, I love people like that because that's why we sell cookbooks.
Yeah. She cooks. She's very Brazilian. I told you I go to Brazil a lot.
Yeah.
She's great at cooking rice and beans. Okay. But that's kind of where it ends.
How about feijoada?
Yeah, feijoada, of course.
Yes.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. I love Brazilian food. Have you cooked any Brazilian food before?
Feijoada.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
That's not at your restaurant, is it, here in Miami?
No. But okay. I've attempted to make it a couple times, and I do love that dish.
It's interesting, like, and I don't know why it's this way. Maybe you know why. I feel like Brazilian food in Miami is really hard to come by.
Yes.
Like,
and I don't know why. We have a large Brazilian community.
Makes no sense.
No,
my girlfriend's always complaining about this, and all my other Brazilian friends.
Brazilian restaurant.
Someone should. Seriously, someone should. I mean, I think there's a huge opportunity. There's this place down the street. It's called Remember, and it's a Brazilian market.
Okay.
It's spelled Remember with like BR at the end.
Okay.
They have a ton of great stuff you can get. A lot of Brazilian items and whatever, lots of candies and all this stuff, acai and everything. Yeah. And they have a restaurant too, but it's not quite.
No, you want the real.
You want the real thing,
not just the market.
Yeah, exactly. We need that badly. But this is really cool. And I guess at this point now, so you have your restaurant here, and you have a second location as well.
Yes.
Where's your second location?
South Miami. I have a fine casual concept called Cracked by Chef Adrianne, and then I have an industrial bakery in Doral, where we ship nationwide via Goldbelly, like all our best-selling items.
I saw that. That is so cool. And I mean, look, I think your approach to what you've done behind creating a story behind what you're selling is incredible.
Thank you.
And I always say marketing is like the articulation of what makes your product or service good at the most basic level. We tell our clients that. I tell my employees that. You're articulating what you do in such an artful, incredible way. And I think that's what's really taken off for your success. But you also have an amazing product. It's not just the marketing side, it's the product too, which is hard to come by.
Thank you. I mean, I think it has to equal, it has to balance. I mean, you have two things. You have to know how to acquire customers and acquire new customers.
Yeah.
Then you got to know how to keep them.
Yeah.
You know, and keeping them you can only keep them if you meet their expectations and surpass their expectations. And then I also believe in this third piece, which is really just the wow factor. Mm-hmm. Something that they get with you that they can't get anywhere else. And that keeps that circle, them coming right back, you know.
Yeah. So let's talk about that real quick. Acquiring and retaining your clients. Obviously, you're totally right. You have to do that. That's how we grow our businesses, right? How are you acquiring your clients? What has been your top strategy to do so?
Currently?
Yeah.
Or
currently, yeah.
It's changed. My third cookbook was actually the arc of like how restaurants started and then how now we use all social media platforms. But before you had to read the newspaper to find out about restaurants and what they offer and find out about their product and whatnot. Right now I use everything. I have to say it's almost everything. Whatever way I can, like you said, articulate my story, my product, or how I want to connect with my guests. I'll use Twitter. I use Facebook. I use Google. I use everywhere because there's a sector there that may not be in another. Like some people prefer Instagram and some people prefer TikTok.
Totally.
Some people are just on YouTube. But what we can account for is that 90%, and that might be a short number, are all in front of a smart device.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of these guys.
Exactly. Yeah. So I try to reach them in whatever way I can.
Yeah.
Whichever avenue I can.
Well, let's talk about this because obviously I run a restaurant marketing agency, and it is the biggest problem of all is you have these restaurant owners that have an amazing product, great service, just built some incredible new bar and balcony and whatever. They've invested so much money into their business.
Yes.
And then they can't get people in the door and they're wondering like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Like, what do you think you're doing that has been helping you be successful at that? I mean, of course, you say you reach people on your platforms and all that, but let's get more scientific with it, because what you can share here, I think, would go such a long way with our audience, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what am I doing? I mean, I run like smart ads, for example, that are not ads. I'm not trying to advertise something. I'm just doing the storytelling.
Okay.
So I just want to reach out, though. That's the thing. So, for example, I will boost a post, but that post might not be, it's not a picture of, how can I say, like a lot of people stage food photos.
For sure.
And these staged food photos, I think, come across that way.
Totally.
And then you make this whole pretty setup, and it's fake. And the thing is that we're in the in the day, like the era where people are smart. They know the behind the scenes. They know how to stage this yourself. They know that if you hang your camera over, because everybody's a food photographer now.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So I'm very, very real with my following. So you'll see me in the kitchen of my restaurant, and as we put out a dish, you'll see that smoke coming out of a dish. So you know that that's piping hot. That was just created.
It was just made.
Yes. And because I love food so much, I genuinely love it. I love the restaurant industry. I try to capture that, I think, with my enthusiasm.
Yeah.
But that's what I'll boost.
Okay.
And I think that translates to the viewer.
Well, I mean, it must translate because you're blowing up. I mean, there's no doubt it does translate. I mean, I'm just looking at your stuff right now, and we'll definitely share on the screen later. If anyone watching the YouTube, you'll be able to see it. Anyone listening, unfortunately, you won't. But I mean, I'm just looking at your page here, and like this is like,
Oh, thank you.
God, this is sweet.
Thank
when
you.
I was helping you create your smart site in Dishio, we'll get to that in a minute too. But I was looking at all the photos. I mean, like this, I'm a big steak guy. So this is kind of what got me.
The big porterhouse. Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is incredible. And you got some
Thanks.
video stuff in here too.
Yeah, that's just the making of our famous French onion soup. And there's nothing really pretty about this, but I'm showing people, hey, this is the behind the scenes of making this
It does look pretty
magical
good
soup.
to me.
But we've made, thank you.
Oh
we've
my
made
God.
A Tuesday night become a Friday night because of this soup.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta come check it out.
Thanks.
I need to. But yeah, I mean, and the other thing, I mean, this is espresso martini, I'm assuming.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's what this is like. This is my move: espresso martinis and steaks. That's why I gotta come by. This is literally it. But then also, okay, you're even more interesting than that because your personal following. You have over 1 million followers.
Well, that's thanks to losing on Chopped and losing on Beat Bobby Flight.
Okay, so let's talk about that because, but hey, didn't. But I don't think you lost. You kind of won on the back end.
We were really, thankfully, on the brink again when social media kind of. I was very fortunate that this has been a very long journey for me. This is not. I was there when Instagram just started, and I remember telling my marketing office, they were like, you have to open this social media thing, like Instagram.
It was what, 2012, was it?
I think it was, like 2012. And the same, I fought the same way for Facebook. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'm on the line. Back then, I'm like on the line every single day. I'm like, who's going to be watching on a phone? Like,
yeah, it just is a crazy foreign concept.
Yes.
For sure.
And now this is what we do every day.
It's crazy.
Yes. And then, so as Instagram was exploding, and I was fortunate enough to be on Food Network multiple times, this was how you acquire national following.
Wow.
It was really, I was very, very lucky.
That is incredible, though.
Yeah. But again, it's somewhat like a restaurant. You can attract them, but then how do you keep them?
Exactly,
true. And then it's like, again, the same type of authentic, genuine content. If they're coming at you, you got to know what the same way for businesses, for restaurants, why are they coming to you?
For sure. Wow. But see, okay, so I guess question for you. A lot of restaurant owners that got started recently, or maybe they're thinking about starting soon. They didn't ride that wave of Instagram. They have all these questions and problems in the beginning stages of their business. How are they going to get the word out? What would you tell them? What would you recommend starting out today?
I would actually recommend to talk to somebody like you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Why? Because I think you could put them on a very enlightening path. Because opening a restaurant is very much like you could have the best product in the world, you could have the best dish in the world, you could have the best chefs in the world.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there, how does that go? No one's there to hear it or see it or something. Did it even happen?
Yes.
So you have to be able to amplify your message. Clear, concise, and you got to know where you also can't throw empty darts. So if you don't have a million hours a day to figure out where your target audiences are, who is your demographic, who's your potential client, and then get insights of once they're in the door, learn about their birthdays and learn about their average spend and things like that. Once you get those insights, how do you build upon that to expand, right?
I think, you brought a really interesting point up there here's a big problem in the restaurant space. You see so many brands spending so much money doing all these things, trying to get someone in the door, and they have no idea what works. They have no idea how to track anything.
The throwing empty darts thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I always say so it was funny because actually before we did our podcast, there was another guy in here that started as a restaurateur and then got into e-commerce.
Okay.
I was actually opposite. I was an e-commerce guy who I had a lot of success with brands. When the whole Facebook ads, Google ads thing started really picking up, we rode that wave with e-commerce brands. And we were taking brands that were doing like 50, 60K a month to like over 400,000 a month in the span of like 6-7 months. And
that's great.
What was crazy is this. With e-commerce, you can run an ad online.
Yeah.
And how do you buy a product? If I want to buy iPhone cases, for example, right? What do? Click add to cart, I go to checkout, and then put my credit card in, I pay, get to the thank you page, your confirmation, right?
Right.
Well, hey, the beauty of that is it's all digital. For an advertiser, you can see how many people made it to each page, add to cart, checkout, payment page.
Right.
Hey, I spent $100. It cost me $10 to get someone to buy. I got 10 purchases from the $100 I spent.
Right.
Cost per acquisition, $10. If your product costs $50 and you're profitable there, you scale that budget all day. Right?
Correct.
Restaurants can't do that.
No.
Restaurants are like, I spent $1,000 on Google, $1,000 on Facebook, $1,000 on TikTok. What happened? And some success came from it, but they never know where.
Right.
And I think this is a huge pain point. This is something that we really like to be able to solve. But to your point too, how you're running a lot of ads and you're having a lot of success with it. What have you done on your end to try to track and understand what's working best for you guys as a company?
Well, I live basically on my insights and learning about my customers.
Amazing.
On every platform, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, whatever. And I try every week. I'm trying to see how we're growing or how we're not. And then I adjust. But I'm pretty much a psycho for those things. Because I'll know, are we getting more customers that are calling the restaurant? Are people preferring to book online versus calling? What times are they calling? Do we have to shift, ads because they prefer calling during the morning, but at nighttime they're doing it
That's
online.
Amazing. And so, by the way, is there some kind of system you're using to track your calls or look at these insights? What do you?
It's just the analytics.
Just through Facebook and Google and all that. Got it. That is amazing though.
Thank you.
Because and tell me this. When you're looking at your customers, so what is your ideal customer look like at this point?
My ideal customer?
Yeah, or I guess what are the customers coming through? What are you learning from it?
What am I learning from my current customers coming through?
The data that you're looking at. You said you're so obsessed with learning more about them.
Okay.
What have you learned about them, I guess?
We do have a very high return rate. So that's very good for us.
For sure.
Because a lot of restaurants, we're a 270 seater. So restaurants of that size, a lot of people don't return more than once a month. So we have guests, a good amount of guests that come twice a month. So that's a big deal.
Huge.
For restaurants, especially in our price point, because we're looked at as kind of like the special occasion restaurant. We're not your neighborhood little like come once a week type of thing. So that's really wonderful. What else? Birthdays. We know that people are celebrating birthdays or anniversaries. We know that people do like to book online versus calling. So I do think that year over year, people want to speak less to humans.
What kind of reservation system do you guys use?
7 rooms.
Nice.
Yeah.
You guys like them?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much experience, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, 7 rooms. I've only heard pretty much good things from.
Yes.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you guys running ads to your 7-room reservations, or what kind of, when you guys run ads, I guess, what does that look like for you guys? What kind of strategies are you pursuing? Or I know you said you boosted some stuff earlier.
Yeah, boosts. Well, it depends. So it depends on which outlet. So
Yeah.
sometimes they're local performance max, as you call, and it depends. They try to get you with like location. So you want foot
You are doing
traffic in the-
Performance Max.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You know your stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, well, thank you.
Might be like, I think you might be like the 4th restaurant owner I've ever spoken to that's ever said Performance Max.
Really? You're like the
I'm
term.
No, I'm serious. Like
Yeah.
it is a very effective Google ad campaign. And a lot of brands are not even, they don't know what that means.
They don't even, right.
They haven't even logged into the Google My Business and see
right.
what's going on.
Yes.
This is what drives me nuts.
Or have a Google tag so that you can actually,
Yes.
you know.
No one said that either. You know your stuff.
Oh, I told you that.
This
I
is
did.
good. Yeah.
Yes. But again, a lot of people may not be in Google or Google partner sites.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to at some point in your life be
For sure.
But let's say that you're just somebody that opens their phone and they go straight to like Facebook or something, right?
Yeah.
So you got to do the same type of strategy, but like on Facebook and Instagram, you know, and
Got
that
it.
way you have this. It's chain marketing.
Yeah,
You know, the
yeah.
catch-all, the net.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wink,
Chain
wink.
marketing framework. There
Yeah,
you go.
go.
Nice.
Segue.
You also, so you also, here's what I like about you already though, is you, first of all, you have you taught yourself all this, by the way?
Yeah. I mean, I am a Harvard business graduate.
Okay, this is incredible.
Sorry. Thank you.
No, this is, geez, you've done everything.
But I've learned, you know, I taught myself about this because my business needed it. And I really got my beak wet in it with Facebook ads.
Totally.
And I noticed, and I was in a desolate shopping mall. Like, that was where my first restaurant was, next to a tire shop in the middle of the suburbs. So I was not in a C and B scene spot in Miami. And I was like, okay, how are people going to find out about me? And in the media, I was actually, since I was so young when I opened, I was kind of like the joke.
Yeah.
Oh, she has no experience. Who does this girl think she is? That type of thing.
Totally.
So how are people going to find out about me? And so I got into Facebook marketing.
Interesting.
And then I'm like, this works. And that's how I
that.
started to teach myself about this.
Well, see, here's what I love about ads. So, I mean, organic too. If you get the organic following, leverage that. But for a lot of people, like you said yourself, hey, you're starting a business tomorrow. You have 0 followers. Ads, oh my God. And even ads with organic is incredible because you have such high brand equity.
Thank you.
Right? It helps so much. Either way, right? But ads, look, you have these giant platforms. They're public companies. They need to consistently grow their business. What do? They're consistently making more room in the news feeds for paid content. It's very simple. I talked to a guy like 2 months ago, and he was like, "I don't like ads. I'm not that kind of person." I was like, "Well, your restaurant's going to stay here forever then." Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, like, you know.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though, that attitude is I wrong. In this business, it's competitive.
Very.
I saw this yesterday on Instagram. There was a guy. He helps restaurants build out initially build out the construction for their location.
Okay.
Helps restaurants buy and sell.
Okay.
The amount of businesses right now, all the restaurants that are going out of business is like 3x from what it was recently, like a couple of years ago. It's a tough business that we're in, right? I always think this too. Again, we talked about all these brands doing everything they can to make the best restaurant possible. They're investing in their bar, their balcony, their food, their staff, everything. But the last thing they're considering is the advertising, and it drives me nuts.
It's got to be the first thing. It's got to be the first thing.
I mean,
first create your concept and be like solid about, because you got to be confident in the story that you're telling, the product that you're selling. But second is advertising, and even if you have a great brand or a great organic following, like you said, there's also a rule of diminishing returns, which is if you have this great following, but they're seeing the same stuff over and over. You need to have growth. That's the thing, and you can only achieve that through advertising.
You have to. And I always tell my clients this too, or anyone we're talking to in general. We have this kind of joke in our company, is that we can't afford to not run ads anymore.
Correct.
Meaning we're at the point, I mean, I have I have 6 people on my team, and their job is only to onboard a restaurant. And so what does that mean? If the amount of clients that we're signing up per month goes down below a certain number, they're just sitting around and I'm just paying for salaries, then they're not being productive with it.
Right.
So for us at this point, over 500 brands we're working with, we get referrals all the time for sure. And we're grateful for all the referrals we get. But the paid ads is the hand that continues feeding and never stops as long as you keep spending.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
And so that is the realization I always try to get a lot of restaurant owners to realize is that, like, you told me yourself when we first spoke, you're like, I know when I spend money on ads, our sales go up.
Right.
I know when they stop, they're lower.
Right.
And like you said yourself, Performance Max, you're looking at Google. I love Google, by the way, I love all the platforms, but we're talking about what platforms that might be great or not. And to your point, people have different preferences. But
Right.
here's what I've always loved about Google versus like some social platforms.
Right.
A social platform like Facebook or Instagram, for example, I always think about, it's like you're walking through a mall. You're walking through the mall and you're like, oh, like this store looks interesting. Let's step in there. Oh,
Right.
like this restaurant looks kind of busy. Great. Let's go check it out. Oh, like you're kind of just like walking around. Whatever catches your attention, you go.
Yeah.
Just like a newsfeed. You're scrolling. Oh, this looks kind of cool. Share. What's that? Ew.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But Google is like a bookstore. It's like you go to the bookstore. I want to buy this book. It starts with an E. I'm going to go to the E in the alphabetical order section. Oh, it's the business book section here. Great. Boom. Pull it out.
exacting.
Go.
Yes.
The intent on purchase from a Google search is much higher than you're going to get from something on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok
Absolutely.
or whatever.
Yes.
So I always tell people all the time, we run ads everywhere, but Google, I think, takes like 80% of our budget, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And right now, it's funny because right now I've completely shifted
Mm.
about 80% of my ad budget to Google because of the performance, local Performance Max.
Yes.
Like how happy I am with that. So, what would you think, or what would you advise for a restaurant owner? What's a proper budget for that?
So this number scares some people, but it's honestly the truth. 2% of what you're making a month.
Should go to Google.
2% of revenue generated.
But is that for ads in general, or is that just for one campaign?
That's for, I would say, ads monthly. Ad spend
okay.
monthly.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But some people think that's crazy. And I would like to spend even more if it's my choice.
Right.
But the minimum budgets we work with per client, we say $1,300 per store is the bare minimum you want to do. And that's not really ideal, but fine if you want to start very small.
Right.
We'll do like 1,000 on Google, 300 on Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
But 2% is kind of what I think we found as a sweet spot.
Okay.
Here's what I'll say though too. Depends on your area. You're here in Miami. You got tons of people. You have the ability to reach people forever and ever and ever. Some brands are in a town with 40,000 people.
Right.
You don't need that much of a budget. You're gonna burn through everyone in like the first 2 weeks maybe.
Right.
So
when I share, I'll more or less say, hey, I spent X amount, weekly, because as you know, they put you a weekly budget on Google, for example, and they'll be like, oh no, that's so scary. And I go, you got to take that first leap.
Yeah.
Because you will see that there's an immediate return on this, So I just wanted to hear from a professional.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, 100%. Now, on that note, since we're talking about data and ads and all this, I'm super excited that you have Dishio.
Yeah.
And for those listening and don't know Dishio is our new software product. Dishio is going to be incredible for your brand. And here's why. You have so much traffic that you're generating. And I always think about this. Okay, so the smart site that you have on your Instagram, which is that replace your link tree I think you have.
Yes, correct.
It has those buttons that you talked about that you like about Google My Business.
Right.
The call button, map directions, view the menu.
Yeah.
When people are looking at those things, they're calling you, they're getting map directions, they're looking at your menu, they're clicking the other links that you might put there. That's all being tracked.
Right.
And I tell people this, going back to the e-commerce example, your smart site is the equivalent for us as like an add to cart button.
Okay.
I'm interested,
Right.
but I haven't bought yet. But I'm interested. I'm checking out your page.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And then you have analytics now through our software that allows you to see how many calls you got, what kind of people are hitting your page, what's
Right.
the age demographic,
Right.
even potentially where did the source come from. So for example, in our product, you can have different smart sites. What I recommend for our clients using it is like put one smart site on Google, put one smart site on Instagram, put one on your YouTube.
Yeah.
You can see the traffic generated from each channel.
Yeah.
How many calls came from YouTube? How many came from here? How many came
Yeah.
from there? That's powerful.
Very powerful.
Very
exactly.
powerful.
Yes.
And then secondly, with your menu in store, that's the checkout page. That's the confirmation page of purchase.
Well, I'm even using it for one step further, and we didn't even get to talk about this, which
Okay.
is,
What is it? I can't wait.
and you don't even know you got this on your hands, I think.
Oh my God.
I'm using it actually as a tool to train my staff.
Really?
Yes, because of your
Oh.
menu page and because it allows you to give to the labels, which I love.
Oh my
okay?
God.
The labels, we get, I think that every diner now is becoming more, not just refined, but educated.
Yes.
So we get countless questions all the time, like, is this seed oil free? Just an example.
Yes.
And a 21-year-old server who's maybe a business major or wants to be a teacher, has got a job as a server temporarily, may not even know what a seed oil is. So they
Yeah.
look at you like a deer in headlights,
Oh, this is amazing. I love this.
And so I am
Yes.
using your app.
Yes.
To train my staff. And it's going to be that really, it's a really nice bridge as for the experience of the guest with the server and to get the guest what they really want, the knowledge that they want, the
Wow.
pairings. I don't want everybody, nor do I need everybody to be a sommelier on my staff. I wouldn't be able to afford that. But this is like very quickly, they can know each and every single dish, this is what it's paired with.
Oh my God. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's,
Aside from everything else, but I didn't know if you knew about this.
I was never even thought about it.
Okay, yeah.
But this is why I love this too. I love doing podcasts. I love meeting people like yourself. I like just chatting through this stuff. And it's funny because like people would ask me too, like, why you start with restaurants? I'm such a difficult business. The guy before here I was talking to, he's like, why you choose restaurants? Mm-hmm. First of all, I love the restaurant industry. Mm-hmm. I love going out and eating out. I love trying new places. But here's the thing too, this industry is such a social industry, which I love. And I love talking to people, as you can already tell. Mm-hmm. But all my ideas, it's not like I was just sitting in a room and just started like writing all these stuff down and started building software. It was more like talking to people like yourself.
Oh.
Hey, what are the issues you're dealing with? What are the problems? Oh, we should build that.
Yeah.
What else? We should build that.
Yeah.
And it's I found myself saying just ever curious about this industry. I'm so curious about it because I think it's an industry that is changing so fast.
It is.
But you have the owners of the brands in this industry that are so resistant to change.
Yes.
Right?
But I've always been a fan of the ideology of that the way that something has always been done doesn't mean that it has to continue to be done that way.
Totally.
So I do think that whoever's going to survive in this already difficult industry has to learn to adapt. They have to learn new practices and they have to evolve.
Yes.
And this is part of evolving.
That is so cool. I love it. I never even thought about the training aspect.
By the way, I don't endorse products. I don't do this. I don't come on podcasts.
Yes.
But I do think that our industry is already difficult enough. So this is the first time in my entire career that I have done this.
Amazing.
Because this will help people. And this is the only reason I'm here.
Oh,
so
thank you so much.
congratulations on such a wonderful product.
Oh, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And there's so much to come too, right?
Yeah.
Like I was telling you earlier, like, so I actually was just looking at your menu through Dishio.
Okay.
And what's so interesting here, so I by the way, I love that you've already taken advantage of all the badges. Like you've all the clients we have on this product right now, I'm like, please add the badges.
Yeah.
Please make this suggestion. Like, oh, well, I'll get to it.
Yeah, it's time consuming.
It is kind of, but you did it in like 2 days.
I did because I wanted to get this done. I have in my head, I had a clear goal. I want to be able to train my staff within the next 2 weeks, and I want to get this in the hands of my guests within the next 30 days.
I love
so
that.
So it's dun dun dun.
You know, I read this recently. Is that like very successful people? They get back to you quickly on things.
Mm-hmm.
They do things really quick. They don't let things sit.
No.
You're the definition of that. You signed up, and then it was like, I think actually we were on the phone.
Fast. And then you were even quicker sending it to me. Yes.
Well, I think I made it. I got excited. I was
yeah.
just like, I just like making them. I think it's fun, and I this has been for me honestly like a 5-year goal.
Yeah.
To get to this point, because
Oh my
software
gosh.
sucks. It's expensive. It's time consuming. But I love it. Like, you know, but that's my crazy side.
I get it.
But okay, so what I love about what you did though is like you added all the labels, you did all this stuff. If I click on the fig, okay, there's no recommendations there. Let's check out this one. Not that one. Let's see. I know
you went on the soup, so go to another one because this one I was recommending dishes. So let's go to a normal dish. Let's go to. No, you went on food. Let's go to main event.
Nice.
Okay, so like our 5-diamond fillet. This is one of our most popular items.
Oh my God.
Yes.
This is what I'm gonna get when I come.
There you go. So I already put gluten-free, shellfish-free, soy-free, all that, refined sugar-free, egg-free, seed oil-free. So this is going to help out everybody with dietary restrictions or concerns. But again, you have servers that are not dietitians. So this already is going to be like, okay, here's all the information that you need. And then a lot of people come to the restaurant and they want, whether it's a special occasion or not, I think every diner wants the best experience possible. But a lot of times they're kind of like, oh, what do you recommend? What do you know? And they ask the server. But here, it's me, the chef and the owner, recommending, here's the cocktails I would drink with this dish. And if you want to start off with a cocktail, fine, and then go into wine, I also do the wine, several wines.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm happy to do this. Okay, so right here it says suggested items to pair with.
Yeah.
Right? What if it was, we could change that to specifically Chef Adrianne's pairing suggestions?
Oh, I'd love that.
Would that be good?
That would be amazing. Because now you're taking it up a notch now you're storytelling.
Yes.
This is product, I guess, like product labeling or classifying, but when you put...
It's specific to you.
Now you're
because they trust you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I always when Kava came out and Chipotle and all this, all these brands starts coming out with all these different styles that you can customize all this stuff. To be honest, when it comes to like customizing my food, I kind of just want the chef to tell me what they think is the best option.
Most people like that, actually.
I don't want to design my own thing. I'm like, I don't know what goes good together. You tell me. Like, this is your art. Like, I don't know what to do. I get like almost like, I don't know what to choose. And it's funny. I was at a restaurant like 2 weeks ago, and I had been there previously with my family that was visiting, and then I went with my girlfriend, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, we had a steak. We always get steak. And then we had some salad that went with that steak, but there was like 3 choices, and I couldn't figure it out. And the waitress, unfortunately, was like, oh, they're all good. I'm like, tell me what I should do. I don't...
Exactly.
But this is when I wished I had this something.
When you
like
go
this.
out to dine, I think that should be like you're entering, I like to call restaurants pleasure emporiums. You're going out for pleasure.
I love that. That's really good. I might use that.
Yeah, okay.
Pleasure emporium. Oh my God.
Yes, you're going for, to allow your senses to be wowed.
Yes.
You're not there you've made decisions all day long. You just want to go and have fun and have a good time. So I think this really, that really makes a way for that. Take the headache out of it, make the decision process that much easier, and just enjoy yourself.
This is really cool.
Thank you.
No, but I think I love that you're training your staff on it so much. So if we, by the way, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but this stuff excites me. This is going to be a native app, by the way, too.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, now that we're talking it through, there is the ability, if there's a native app aspect to this, and you can train your staff with that too, you could potentially also see if your staff is actually going through it and looking at it. You can monitor their activity, looking at it. Not to get too creepy and crazy with it, but I think even with that being said, it's an aspect where if someone's at the restaurant and they're asking about an item, it makes me think though too, we should have a search bar here. So you can search someone, your staff, someone's asking about the steak, your staff can really quickly just search the steak.
That's a cool
and
item.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do that for sure for you guys. Okay.
You.
But I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
What else has been useful for you, I guess, overall?
I mean...
Do you like photos on menus or not?
Yes, I've just got to get to it.
Okay.
I thought if I could build out the wording of it first.
Yes.
Now I'm going to go back and then add all the pictures because I do have photos. Absolutely.
Amazing.
People eat with their eyes.
Totally.
You know.
Well, I was just going to say, too, because I was looking at your Instagram, of course, and I was like, you got great content.
Thank you. Thank you. Those are all going to be imported into there. I just got to
That's amazing.
do it.
But and we designed it in such a way that was like, if you didn't have photos, it still looks good. Like the text fills out. Mm-hmm. But then if you add the photos, then it just closes it up a little bit. So it looks like it's not like you're missing something.
No, it definitely doesn't have that feel.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. Well, God, this is so cool. I love that you're loving it. But the thing is, too, you're such the ideal client for this. Because I think a lot of brands, like they don't have the excitement that I think you have about your brand in general. Like I always tell people this too. Like I think I said this to someone like a year ago, and I haven't taken a sales call in a long time. Actually, you were actually the first, I think I told you this.
Yes.
You were the first client I personally signed up in like a long time.
Well, you were like, okay, I think I'm going to sign you up myself. Okay, wait, I don't know if I should, do I send you a link? No, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah, yeah. Because I just haven't done it in so long. And it was funny because my sales team, they were like, she's the greatest. Like, she didn't sign up, but you should just call her because she's awesome. And I looked you up and I was like, she is the greatest.
Oh, thank you. I'm not, but I, one thing that you are right is I do love my brand. And I think I kind of always wish that something like this would exist, but because it hasn't. It didn't exist.
Yes.
And this makes people like me, restaurateurs or chefs or people that love the brand or love their restaurant. It makes it easy to connect with the guest, to learn from the guest, and then expand their business.
100%. Mm-hmm. And I just remember what I was going to say until I got sidetracked. But I love that you loved your brand, and I wish more people would, because it's like when you have that true passion for what you're doing, that's how things take off.
Yeah.
I asked someone this question like a while ago, and I was like, be honest with me. Do you believe in your product and your service? Mm-hmm. And they kind of stopped. No, yeah, for sure. I'm like, I don't believe you. And he was like, no, I do. I'm like, I don't believe you.
Oh my gosh.
And I told him, I was like, look, the thing about my industry, and as a marketer, you're only as good as the product you're selling.
Correct.
Right? And so that's why, like, we try to work with only brands that at least win $1 million or more a year.
Okay.
Like, that's kind of what we look at. I mean, as like the benchmark. Because I look at it as like, if you're doing $1 million or more a year, you've done something right. You have a proven product and service. Mm-hmm. A lot of the brands far below that, they don't believe in themselves or their brand.
Right.
I've asked some of these people questions too. Like, if I gave you $100,000, do you believe you could put that into your business and make it back? Mm-hmm. And the level of underconfidence that they have, it's just, they're in the wrong business.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I do always say, people ask me for restaurant advice all the time. And then I always say the number one thing is that you have to absolutely 100% love your brand, love your restaurant, because this is a passion-driven business. And if you're not passionate, you're not going to sell, and you're not going to get people in that door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And what kind of food do you like personally? I know your menu, you have a lot of different items, but like, I'm a steak guy, like I told you. Like, what is your like top dish you recommend, or you like yourself?
I don't know. It's funny because I don't eat necessarily what I cook because I'm in it all day long.
Yes.
So on my podcast, we talk about all the time people's favorite foods, and we always end up talking about Taco Bell.
Really?
It's terrible.
No. I would never guess that.
You come off of a long shift. You've been cooking all day long. I'm slinging steaks. I don't want a steak. And people think, you must eat so well and this and that. No. I've actually starved myself probably all the way till God knows when. Yeah. And what I want is Taco Bell.
Oh my God.
It's terrible.
No way.
But people in my industry will know what I'm talking about.
That's so funny. I would never guess that.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so funny. My, it's actually, well, I wouldn't say Taco Bell is good Mexican food, right?
No, right. No.
But my girlfriend never had a burrito until 2 months ago.
Really?
The first time I took her to California, we had Cali burritos and everything.
Boy.
And breakfast burritos she fell in love with. And my God, we don't have these in Brazil.
No.
Right? And it's like,
yes.
it's funny because like, I think, well, to what you're saying is, for you, you're in it all day. So it's your product, it's your craft, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you want something just incredibly different. But sometimes something that is so different to us is the most attractive overall.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I could see that. I could see that. I just, there's something about steak for me that's, I think, never going to go old. Like, I just, it's,
No, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's the thing that I enjoy cooking the most, I will say, creating
Yes.
for others.
Yes.
Because a reaction to steak is unlike anything else.
Really?
It's steak or cheese pool. That's it. Steak,
Really?
Yeah. A sizzling steak will make you salivate. It'll do something. It's a chemical reaction in your brain.
specifically steak.
Specifically steak.
Yeah.
That sounds like a tongue twister. Specifically steak.
Specifically
and
steak.
a cheese
I
pool
like
does
that.
the same thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I do love steak and cheese.
No. Yes.
It's like, that's, I see, this is why I can never be a vegetarian. I tried being vegetarian actually for like a month.
Okay, I was gonna say 5 minutes.
Yeah, I tried a month
Okay,
actually.
that's
and
great.
and like the vegetarians listening to this are gonna hate this, but it was actually pretty bad what happened to me during that
Really?
month. I gained weight. I got so bloated on the veggies. I felt just weak in the gym.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's kind of hilarious, but my sex drive went to like 0.
Yes.
Like I had zero interest in anything.
Yeah.
And I just felt flat. I just
Yes.
felt so like no passion. Like the person I was and the person that you've seen
Yeah.
today, and I'm full of passion all the time. And that all just went away completely.
I had a friend of mine who worked with us for several years. She tried it also, I believe, for like maybe a month or two, the same, and she almost fainted on the job.
Oh my God.
And she's like, nope, I need to have steak.
Yeah, I can't understand it. Like,
and for real, she almost fainted, and she talked about it
Yeah.
exactly like what you just described.
it was so strange. I used to live in LA for 12
Mm-hmm.
years, and I had a buddy there who's like a vegan bodybuilder, and that is crazy to me. I don't understand how that works. He's never even tried meat,
Oh,
and I'm like,
wow. How?
don't you want to try?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
don't you want to just try? Like,
yeah,
come on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I guess looking now where we are today, as an industry, where do you see are the next big opportunities? You talked about obviously on the marketing front, it's changed a lot over the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about like today? Like there's tons of crazy shit happening today, right? There's the AI boom, and I'm kind of so excited and scared of that, by the way.
very.
There's a lot of changes happening. Where do you see big opportunities in the restaurant industry?
Boy, I don't know, because we are right now in the middle of a seismic shift. Like, like we're right now in the dead center of it. I think we're shaking the tree. You will see a lot of restaurants closing and all of that.
But why is that?
Well, I think that we're seeing right now the effects of COVID when they shut down the restaurants. I think that a lot of the industry just obliterated.
Yeah.
And the workforce obliterated, because if you had an industry that was not stable and that could just kind of like, okay, we're closing. I know that the rest of the world shut down, but like e-commerce didn't shut down.
Yeah, true.
So
It exploded.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so many other things, like and real estate also kind of, that was the beginning of the big boom and all of that. But yeah, the restaurant industry was just so scary for so long that a lot of people just went and did other things. So now you come back and now labor is through the roof. Then you have to deal with inflation. So this is a nickel and dime business, or I would say pennies business.
Yeah.
So how do you now stabilize inflation, labor crisis?
What do you think about robots taking over?
That's happening already in some places.
It is.
You
It's
have
scary.
robot bartenders on cruise ships. You have robot
Wait,
servers.
robot bartenders?
Yeah.
I never even heard of that.
Oh, yes. Royal Caribbean has them on several of their ships. You go up right to the bar, and they'll make you classic drinks.
And they're good.
Well, because they're every
perfect.
time perfect. Exactly.
Oh my
God.
God.
That's already happening.
Oh.
Many restaurants actually out in California are serving you with a robot.
Yeah.
So now they're taking out.
Would you ever put robots in your kitchen?
After I opened an Instagram and Facebook page, after I said no, I will say never say never.
Yeah.
Right now, I would be like, oh my gosh, that's a crazy idea.
Totally.
But
have you seen the Tesla robots they're making?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't wait to get one.
Oh, It's scary, but you know what? We're all headed in that direction.
My whole entire apartment here, I decked out with tech.
Really?
And it's completely smart. I have these little things all over the apartment where in any room, in any situation, even the bathroom, I can tell Google what to do and it'll do it. Open the blinds, turn the lights off, play music, anything is at my disposal just by me speaking. But they're listening to me.
Yeah, they are.
And I don't know if you saw, did you see Google released Gemini, which is their AI tool?
No.
Did you see the release? What happened?
No.
So this is where it gets really freaky. Is when AI becomes owned by these big companies, right? And they're the one running it. The power they have at scale becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, obviously, right? Because AI can be replacing people and all these things that's controlled by one person. They have this generative AI called Gemini, and it would generate images, right? Like, show me the beach, show me this, show me a steak, whatever, right? Fine. And it was pretty good at doing most images. But then it would say, someone put in there, show me the Pope. And it would show lots of different popes, but it wouldn't show a white pope. Wouldn't show a white guy. Then someone's put, that's weird. Show me a German Nazi soldier. Wouldn't show a white guy. Showed every other race.
Really?
And so within the AI, they built in biases. And this is where it's getting crazy in the world of AI, is that we're going to start using this everywhere. And you have these companies with certain ideas and certain agendas they want to put into the AI. And that's where I get scared.
That's scary.
That freaks me out.
Yep. Oh, boy.
Oh, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is where it gets crazy. But as you know, Dishio has AI. We have our own AI. That's how your menu was built, by the way. So
I'm like, how did you do this in 30 seconds, pretty much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually really cool. So I just went to your website, and your website's beautiful, by the way.
Thank
I love
you.
it. And I looked at the menu. So you see this, the way it's organized, you have everything here, and then you have, this is like the header, then you have the categories, then you have each item. Well, within our product, it's the same. So let's just go to your menu. It's the same. It's the same in the sense of it's organized by those 3 tiers.
Right.
Right. But the thing about it, the AI is actually going in here. So I won't edit it. Don't worry.
I'm like, that took me a long time.
You're like, don't do anything.
No.
But it's organized by the menu, the categories, and the items, just like how you have here, right?
Right.
But what it does is if I click this button here and I put in your URL, it literally, an AI tool goes on your site,
picks it up and
pulls all the items and organizes it just by that way.
It's
And it was
amazing.
funny because before we did this, before AI, and don't worry, I'll close it so I don't accidentally press something. So before AI though, my team was looking at, we need to get an integration into this, into Toast, point of sale, and all this different stuff. And it was like so overwhelming, the amount of integrations we would have had to do that. All the while, this is when AI started really taking off as we were building, because we started building this like a year and a half ago. And it was godsend. Because you don't need integrations.
right.
You just
So-
crawl.
Every time I've opened,
It's crazy.
It's insane when you switch POS or whatever. The amount my managers have to be there, like you say, like typing in.
I know.
Oh my gosh, all the menus and the mods, the modifications and
Yeah.
everything. So this is incredible.
Yeah. So here's what's going to happen too. And well, the Dishio menu will probably end up replacing the your page on your website if you want with it, just so it's organized the same. But imagine you wanted to keep your website the way it is. Imagine you could just update your website, go to Dishio, hit update. It already knows your site.
Right.
Now it updates automatically.
Everything.
with
Yeah.
whatever you just did.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what's going to get really scary. I think when I think about the restaurants, I think when I think about AI though, I think people working remote, that's going to get replaced quick.
Yeah.
And I think that's scary. I think there definitely are a lot of jobs that won't, at least for some time. The big thing though is I think, and what I'm hoping for, this would be best for humanity, is that like everyone keeps their job, but they basically become 10 times more efficient.
Correct.
One employee can do the job of 20.
Correct.
And the company can grow to great heights because of the scale.
Quicker. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think in the restaurant space, as we evolve more and more and more into tech, kind of our vision with Dishio too is that like, hey, like maybe your menu can also talk to you at some point.
Maybe.
You know,
right.
I mean, we're looking through chef suggested pairings.
Yeah.
Maybe we literally take all of your knowledge that you know as a chef and as an owner,
Uh-huh.
and they can actually, it's basically a clone of you that they're talking to
that's insane.
within your menu.
Yeah.
Hey, Chef Adrianne,
Oh
you know,
my
what do you
gosh.
suggest with the steak? And
Yeah.
it's responding in the way that you would respond in
Right.
your language and your tone,
That's
maybe with your
wild.
voice.
That's wild.
And now you're present with everyone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know it's kind of freaky to
Yeah,
think
that
about.
is freaky.
It kind of gives me the chills thinking
Yeah.
about it, honestly.
Yeah.
But what else? Well, I guess what other opportunities do you see? I mean, you said yourself like we're kind of at this pivotal moment where
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of change. But where do you think? What are the other things that we should be thinking about in the restaurant space coming?
Well, I do think that the reason why people are going to restaurants it's getting narrower and narrower. So I think that you as a business owner have to, more than ever, really hone in on your brand. You have to be very conscious of what you're marketing, what is your story, because I think today's guest, today's consumer, they're not going to the restaurant just to like fill their stomach. It's not, I'm hungry. No, if I'm hungry, I'm going to the market right here. I'm going to like a Chipotle. I'm doing my meal prep, XYZ. But if you're going to a restaurant, you're going for entertainment, and there has to be a why. You either are connected with, you know, or you feel good, or there's the purpose.
Totally.
So I think that as we move into the next few years is going to be really, really like, you're going to have to hone in on that.
Yeah.
I do think that a focus on wellness is a big deal. Today's diner is very, very much in tune with where your steak comes from.
Yes.
Tell me about that cattle farm. You know, are they grass fed? Is that pasture?
So you can
organic?
add the origin country, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
love that.
So,
yes.
yes.
It's the Argentinian steak.
Right.
Oh, this came from wherever. Great.
Yeah. And before, if you looked 5-10 years back, maybe you're talking to, you know, a 50-60-year-old dude that smokes cigars and drinks cognac that cares about that stuff. But now you're looking at the 18-year-old
Yes.
that wants to know where their steak
And
is.
you said seed oils before a few minutes back. I mean,
Yeah,
like, same
exactly.
thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So I do think that we're looking at that for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Seed oils is a very interesting thing for me because a lot of restaurant owners don't even know about like it being bad or not. They have no idea.
No.
Or
And I think you
there's
need
not a
to-
touch.
Correct. So first thing is you have to be in touch, I guess. That's what
Yeah.
it is. You have to definitely be in touch. It goes back to insights and knowing your analytics.
Yes.
Your demographic, what are they into? Understanding, being an empathetic business owner, and just being
See,
in tune
but
with
here's
that.
what's great about you though too is you're adapting with all this. You're aware of it, and you like obsess over it.
Yeah.
These other owners, I'm like, dude, it's 2024. What are you doing?
Oh my gosh, how does it go? If you don't prepare to plan or plan to fail or something. What is it?
It's,
fail to plan.
If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, you got it. You got to get with it.
It is so true though,
Yes.
and it drives me nuts that like it's like we're trying so hard to help so many people, and it's like you got to also want to help yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my god. But I you said something that's actually really interesting that I want to touch on too is that like the feeling you get from going to this restaurant, that's going to become more and more of a thing. And I totally agree.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is like now we're in the era of like you can order whatever you want online. It's delivered in under an hour. Great.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. What do you think about? You think fast casual restaurants as they exist today are going to continue thriving like they are, or do you think it's going to go more to online?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if I can speak on that because I do think that I still believe that to be more trivial now than ever for fast casual because with with inflation, with the cost of goods just going up,
Yeah.
how much more are people willing to pay for a burger? I mean, for example,
Yeah.
a burger and fries, which now is also becoming very nouveau, like hot cuisine. I mean, HAUTE. Like you have places like Capital Burger, you know, like that's the, like, I guess the riff from Capital Grill. So
Yeah.
high-end steak place is now doing a high-end burger place. Right?
Yeah.
And I do think that people, if you're going to have a burger, maybe you're going to have a really good burger.
Yeah.
There's going to be a portion of the market that's going to go there.
See, I feel the same though. I feel like food is becoming more and more high quality about the experience.
Right.
And everything else that's below that, you can just order on Uber Eats or something.
Correct. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So are people really going to go to a fast casual restaurant and sit in there and like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I really
It's
can't
so
speak
interesting
on
to think about.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like that's so, like for us, like we could have gone two routes with our product. It was like the more fine dining space like yourself, right? Like higher end, great experience, this and that. Or, I mean, there are a lot of fast casual, but I was thinking just this. I was like, I don't know if that business is going to be around forever.
Right? I don't know.
I truly thought, but I think we're talking about like AI and all those things happening. Personally, and I think a lot of people that I know, I mean, it seems like the world will always want fine dining. The
Yeah.
world will always want high quality.
Right.
It's not going anywhere. I hope this going anywhere. I'll be
Yeah,
really
I don't
sad.
think so. Yeah,
I don't
no.
think it is.
I don't think so, because people, like we were talking about now about being around a table.
Yeah.
We're social creatures.
Yeah.
We're going to want to be around a table,
Yeah.
enjoying good food, good drinks, you
Totally.
know, because that's just a catalyst for great conversation. And that's how we connect. That
Yeah.
is just, we're not going to stop being people. Now,
Yeah.
are we going to, are we going to stop maybe, I think like consuming really, really bad for you food that we know is toxic?
Yeah.
I think that over time, knowledge is power, and we're going to do better for ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
With that being said, knowledge is power.
Uh-huh.
How do you get better at what you do? Like, are there specific books you read, podcasts you listen to? Like,
I am
how do you improve?
constantly from every avenue. I can learn. Look, I've learned a lot from you. I try to stay in a constant state of open, because that's how you learn, and that's how you continue to grow and evolve. Whether it's reading, watching, anything, a podcast or TV, or just listening to a colleague, or going to a trade show. But I'm constantly trying to take my craft to the next level, because the more I learn, the more I can offer to my guests, to my following, and
For sure.
that's it. It's a chain.
It is, yeah. It is. See, this is why I just love, I think business is the greatest game of all time.
It is.
And I truly look at money as like a scoreboard, in the sense of like, I'm scoring some great points
Yeah.
this game, like whatever. And it's nothing more than that. I don't
Yeah.
get emotional about it or this or that. I mean, I get a little emotional about it, but you know, it's like, I truly love meeting people like yourself, learning from people like yourself, also teaching, and at the same time, like growing together. Right. I think that's an area that a lot of restaurateurs need to be more prone to. Like you
Yeah.
said, openness. You're in
Yeah.
a state of openness all the time.
Yeah.
A state of, hey, you know what? I could be totally wrong about this, and there could be this whole new thing. And you know what? Fine, that's how it is. Where did I see this recently? It was like great companies have to be willing to cannibalize themselves to get to the next level. And it kind of is true. It's like you have to be in a state and willingness that you might have to walk away from something at any given moment.
Yeah.
Apple, by the way, for example, I just read this today. They've been pursuing building a car, by the way,
Okay.
the Apple
Oh,
car,
okay.
to compete with Tesla and get
Uh-huh.
in the electric car space.
Yeah.
Well, they decided after 10 years, they quit the project
Okay.
completely. It's over.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what they're pursuing now? You could probably guess, maybe.
No.
AI.
Oh, of course.
They're all going to
well,
AI.
Yeah.
I have this really like kind of fucked up idea that I think you see all these giant companies building their own AIs.
Yeah.
I swear to God, it's like I had a dream about this like the other night. It's like there's gonna be some like mega war someday with all these
with
AIs like fighting each other.
Yes,
Like,
I agree.
it's
I
like
think so.
Elon versus Apple
Yeah.
versus Microsoft.
Absolutely.
Like, oh
yeah.
God.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's getting really crazy. Juan Manuel, the guy you know that also has a restaurant here, a couple of restaurants too. He was telling me that He was at, I guess it was some like world leaders conference. I don't know. It was funny because he was telling me about it, and I was like, this is very intense to just kind of drop this.
Yeah.
It was a very amazing situation. He was just like, casually. I was with all the world leaders. Also, Sam Altman, at CEO of ChatGPT, right, was there.
Okay.
And he was the chef. He was serving the event.
Okay.
Just casually.
Yeah.
Right. They were saying that in this lifetime, not the next generation, this lifetime that we're living, the world leaders were in agreement that AI will take over and have full sovereignty over humanity in this lifetime. It wasn't like way down the line. And that's just what they said. And I don't know if it's right or wrong. I'm not even going to try and understand it, but he just dropped that on the podcast.
Believable.
And it's believable.
Because, I think it's believable.
It is.
Oh, gosh.
It is scary. It was scary. Because we were going down on the restaurant path and we got into this, and sometimes it happens in our podcast, but it was like, it was a scary idea. It's really scary. But with that being said, I think the restaurant space is definitely a safer industry than others.
Yeah.
For sure. Much safer. Much, much, much safer. And that's why I love it too. For you, I guess, look, you've done a lot of amazing things. What have been I don't know, some of your biggest failures? Where did you really mess up? What sucked? Basically.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's hard.
How did you guys do during COVID? How was that?
We did great.
Okay, Miami, is actually,
we
you guys killed it in
did
Miami.
wonderful. Actually, that's a funny story. I took 13 years to even contemplate expanding. I was always too scared.
Yeah, it is scary.
I'm an independent restaurant, which we just made the 100. We were number 100, but we made the list.
Nice.
100
you made
independent
it.
restaurants in America. And that's a big deal because from not having backing, no hedge fund, no investors.
Oh, you never had any investors?
No.
Oh,
so that's why it took me 13 years.
Wait, but I freaking love that because
we're like running gun.
So
here.
but real quick on that, I want to compliment you on that because that's so amazing.
Thank you.
I don't talk to anyone like that today.
Oh, no, but. Like I had shared with you before, I started my restaurant at 22 with cookbook sales. And then I kind of just built upon that for 13 years.
Oh my God.
And so when I finally get the guts, it was like the right opportunity, which was, I remember New Year's Eve it was New Year's Eve 2019 and the world shuts down in March of 2020. So New Year's Eve 2019, which is 3 months prior to the world shutting down.
Yeah.
I have this guy who's a server and he's in the middle of New Year's Eve, restaurant is packed. He's on his phone, and that's a no-go. You're not on shift. You're not on the phone.
Yeah.
And he's just telling me, no, chef, I'm sorry. Is that my brother who's working at this other restaurant? They said they shut down, and they're like looting basically. They just dropped service, and they're taking everything out of the coolers. They're stealing liquor, everything. They went out of business, and I loved that spot. It's a beautiful lakefront restaurant, beautiful terrace, waterfront, big, nice floor plan. And I said, I had this feeling. And again, divine intervention. I think God was speaking to me. He goes, that's going to be your restaurant. So in the middle of New Year's Eve, 2019, I'm calling my broker and I'm going, can you please find out before this goes to market? In February, now the pandemic happens.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I am now in the middle of leaving my restaurant and shifting. The restaurant industry obliterates. I don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And this is in the middle of our move and the biggest move of my life, the biggest risk of my life.
Oh.
Yes. We end up opening in August of 2020.
Yep.
Only to-goes. And I'm like, oh no, how am I going to pay rent in this enormous restaurant? $40,000 rent a month.
No.
Only doing to-goes. I'm like, this is going to be my first failure. Yes.
Oh my God.
That's yes. And then outdoor seating came in where, we had inspectors coming in with tape to make sure that they would measure the 6 feet apart thing. And I'm
that drove me nuts.
Yeah. And
I'm God.
Oh no. Again, how do we pay $40,000 a month in rent? Just with.
But here in Miami, they were doing that too.
Yes. They were doing that too. And
wow.
But then it just all started coming together.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh wow, this is fantastic. So it was almost my biggest failure. I was so scared. It was definitely the time I was most scared in my entire career.
You feel like that stress just consuming your entire body at all time. That was
a time where there was nothing that you could do.
That's crazy.
There was nothing except just one day at a time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. But again, I think that's so amazing what you did. Also,
Yeah.
being a business owner at 22, that's really hard.
Psychotic.
That's like
You're still growing up at 22. You're
yeah,
learning who you
you're
are.
still
No.
a kid. Like
Yeah.
one thing for me because I started this company, I think also 22.
Oh,
22 or 23.
really?
Yeah.
Congrats.
So, yeah. So I've never had a job, like a normal job. Actually, my only job I've ever had, this is so funny. Well, two. One was in high school. I was the host and busboy at BJ's Pizza in Orange County, California.
Okay.
Yeah. So first job in the restaurant space. I always think this too. Like everyone should work in a restaurant at least once in their life.
I agree.
You learn so much
About life in general.
about the
people.
world, people. Like
Yes.
it's like the best job
Yes.
ever.
Yeah.
Everyone needs it at least once.
Yes.
At least I believe that to my core. But then I worked with Casamigos Tequila.
Okay.
Actually, way back in the day. This was like 2015, maybe. But they actually, it's so funny. They hired and fired me in 3 months. I only lasted 3 months. I was a terrible employee. I was
Really?
could not do it. Anyway, long story short though, but I think when I was building my business, I was so young too, and I just remember feeling like, do you ever have that feeling like you just feel like you just didn't like, you kind of felt like out of place. You're like, I'm the boss, and I feel so young. It feels odd.
Oh yeah. Oh
right?
yes. It was that. It was like that for so long.
Totally, and,
Yeah.
and I think it's odd. You know what I did actually? It was really weird. Both my partner and I actually did this. We did hypnotherapy for like
Really?
a year. I was hypnotized every day for like a year.
Really? And it worked?
It was incredible.
Really?
One of the weirdest things I've ever done. But
Okay.
and honestly, I like recommend to everyone. Some people think it's insane. I don't believe it. It worked.
Okay.
It changed my mindset completely. It elevated me on so many levels that I'm so thankful for, and I always recommend it. Actually, my hypnotherapist was based here in Florida.
Okay.
When you just do it, I did it over the phone while I was in California. But it was so interesting. But I think to all entrepreneurs starting the business, especially early on, like early 20s, when you have employees that are 10 years older than you, it just feels weird.
It does feel
You
weird.
feel like you've like hacked life somehow, and it
Yep.
doesn't feel right.
Nope.
You almost feel like you're cheating somehow.
Yeah.
You know?
It does. That's definitely, and it's I think a really good catalyst for imposter syndrome. You
Yeah.
don't think you're deserving of
Exactly.
your successes. You don't fit in. You're timid to even if you need to correct an employee, you're like, I don't know. This is
Yeah,
weird.
I know. It's so weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah.
But you dove into it. You obviously are now successful, and you have, you said again, 3 stores at this
Yeah,
point. 3
yeah.
stores, amazing.
you.
So cool.
Thank you.
So what's next for you? What's like the next thing you're working on? What are the current projects?
Well, right now I'm working on my 7th cookbook.
So epic.
Season 2 of
I
my
need to get one. This is so good.
season 2 of my podcast, season 2 of my travel show. We're still telling stories.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm gonna continue to grow.
And
Chef
I
Adrianne.
guess how do you manage all this plus your stores? Is it like, how often are you in the restaurant at this point?
Well, like right now when I leave here, I'm going straight to the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So when we're shooting for the podcast or the show, I
Yeah.
make sure that we only shoot for 3 to 4 days, and those are our slow days because
Yes.
in and out of that, I'm at the restaurant.
Yes.
So that's how, and we make sure we don't do more than 1 shoot a month so that I'm always at the restaurant.
Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
you're busy.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time, by the way? I think it's almost 6
Oh, yeah?
o'clock.
All right. Oh, that means
Yeah.
I gotta go.
You gotta go. Okay. So, well, look, Adrianne, this is awesome. I'm so glad we
Thank you.
did this. And
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad it worked like so last minute too, because
Yeah.
I was like, we gotta do the podcast.
Yeah.
It's just like
You gotta get the software. Okay, we gotta get it up. All right.
Yes.
Now you're gonna be on the podcast.
yes.
Thank
and
you for your lightning type of
yes.
deal.
I guess what I'd love to also ask you is like, based on your experience so far with Dishio, like core features that you've loved the most. It sounds like it was you love the chef suggested pairings, you love the badges.
I do.
What other aspects I guess have been so amazing for you in the product so far? And where can I help as well?
Let me see. But you named them for me. Those are my favorite things. I loved, I guess, but you imported it for me. But if you weren't there,
Yeah.
I love that how easy it is to import your website into
The
Dishio.
menu, building the menu.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
building the menu is something that I think is a daunting task for people,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, oh, no. Like, no, that could actually inhibit people from like partaking in something because they think it's such a heavy lift, right? But I think
Yes.
you've really done a great job at making this easy, like as easy as possible for
Totally.
somebody who has a busy day ahead of them. Like how I did this, and I knocked it out in 2 days. I made sure that I started my day building out this menu, and
Yeah.
I would knock it out, boom, a few at a time, and I was able to accomplish that in a couple days.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess other question for you, because you obviously have a paper menu in store, and
Yeah.
and now you're going to replace it with this. What was it for you that was like, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I see the value in it.
Well, I think that I would have to write a book to put in front of people.
Oh, that's amazing.
If I was to give them everything like printed out, what's in Dishio. So I think that people, they're smart enough now to just scan something really quick and on their smart device that everybody does have, be able to, they're going to get the most out of the restaurant experience if they do this. Otherwise, okay, here you go. Have the paper menu, but you're only going to get a little bit of what we can offer.
I love that. Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that. And one thing I'll say is obviously, like, please let me know what else you want. And my team hates
Thank
when
you.
I say this, but I can almost kind of customize anything for you at this
Thank
point.
you, thank
so
you.
just let me know. But
Thank you.
like it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining
Thank
us on
you.
the show.
Well-
And also, if anybody wants to like look you up, check out your restaurants, get a cookbook, what's the best way they can reach you or find you online?
Just type in Chef Adrianne anywhere because it'll lead you to social. It'll lead
Yes.
you to the website, whatever.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much
Thank
again.
you.
And I got to come visit soon.
Yeah.
So I'll see you
Thanks for
soon.
having me.
Thank you.